Hello, and you are listening to the Book Was Better podcast, the podcast where we talk about the book of the film. I'm Luke.
I'm Leah.
And this week we're talking about Charlie's Angels.
Hey you, put down the popcorn and turn on the light. It's gonna be alright, my friend. In the end, take my hand and trust me, the book was better.
Holy crap, always such a pleasure to have you back here.
Thank you.
Leah, 2015.
Thank you very much.
New year, and some Charlie's Angels.
I loved Charlie's Angels. This is... Look, it's not even a deep, dark secret. I actually just flat out love it. So, it wasn't hard.
Only this incarnation, or...
I still like... Oh, you mean the newer ones, not the old birds?
Like, was it something where... Did you ever watch the Farrah
No,
Fawcett ones, like in repeats or anything like that?
No, never.
No, so it really is this
one.
reimagining from 2000.
That's
well, look,
it.
I don't...
2000?
Yeah, year 2000.
I thought it was 90s.
No. And I don't want to alarm anybody, but I've been hearing whispers on the internet, and I feel that this film from about 15 years ago might actually prove this.
Yes.
But I'm hearing that sisters are doing it for themselves.
Oh, is this the Ghostbusters thing?
I think they're standing on their own 2 feet. Yeah, which
Yes.
I'm a proponent for. I think the only reason to stand on someone else's feet is like if you're learning to waltz, maybe.
Uh-huh.
But otherwise, I think women have been standing on my feet far too long.
You want them standing on there.
You've got your own feet, ladies.
Yeah.
Put on some nice shoes.
Time to.
And in this case, get
It's
together
very nice
with a
shoes.
couple of friends in some really nice shoes
Yeah.
and do some amazing things.
Yeah.
I've got to confess, I always thought that it was Charlie's Angles.
Oh, okay.
Because one was a cutie, one's quite obtuse, and one's right all the time.
Oh,
That's the only joke. That's the only joke I've got for this entire show. So.
But don't you get that a lot though, where you look at angels and angles, and your brain? Look, my brain does this, where a split second I have to think, which one is it?
Yeah.
Because they're just so similar.
Yeah. Well,
That was a very good joke.
This is the original I Am Charlie. So let's dive. Should we dive in? Look,
Let's go.
It's by Elizabeth Lenhard, who's the author of the WITCH series, which, funny thing is, I clicked on that because I like a good acronym. It's an acronym. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what's that stand for? You'd think the description of the first book would tell you. Doesn't.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'd have to, if I was cleverer than I am right now, if I hadn't already used my one joke, I would make something up for what that stands for, but I don't know. And she wrote this series called Chicks with Sticks.
This is a real thing? She
This
really
is legitimate.
wrote that?
She wrote a series called Chicks with
Right.
Sticks, not drumsticks, but knitting needles.
Yeah.
It's a pearl thing. And here's a little...
Pearl with a U.
Yeah.
Which means what exactly?
It's a type of knitting stitch.
Who's the audience for this book?
My mother is a knitter. I know a little bit
Would
about
she
knitting.
be reading Chicks with Sticks though?
No. Maybe older chicks
Would
with
anyone?
sticks. Well, here's the
Maybe
little...
people who want real pants.
Here's the little synopsis. When she discovers Knitwit, her local yarn store, Scotty feels that she'd been thrown a lifeline. There she and Amanda meet new friends, and soon it's hard to remember which came first, the girls or the pearls. I've often asked that. That's one of those questions that's troubled me for a while.
Girls or the pearls. But I mean, what does that even mean? What came first?
The girls or the pearls? Did knitting bring the girls together, or did the girls bring
the
knitting? I don't know.
Right.
I have to read it. Also wrote Charmed tie-in books.
Okay, they any good?
Alyssa Milan. I don't read them unless I have to.
Oh, okay.
And Spy Kids tie-in books. Haven't done any... Well, Charmed we wouldn't do because it's a TV series. But no, we haven't done a Spy Kids yet. But if we like Elizabeth Lenhard, maybe that's the future. So
I don't know. Would you get... Who would want to take on Spy Kids?
Spy
Jesus,
Kids.
Has anyone actually seen the films?
No.
Yeah.
I have the feeling they're like so quickly slapped together that even like Robert Rodriguez hasn't seen an entire Spy Kids film. All right, so here's the beginning. The prologue, October 16th, 4:23 p.m. Location, Virgin Air Flight number 319. Altitude, 40,000 feet. Status, lavatory occupied. There's some classic novelization padding right off the top.
Mr. Jones stood in the cramped coach class restroom and gazed into the mirror. He adjusted the folds of his voluminous Kent cloth dashiki. Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
I'll go with dashiki.
He peered at his face, medium brown skin, carefully trimmed 3 days' growth of beard to add a touch of maturity to his youthful looks, and a serious scowl to offset his killer dimples. Mr. Jones was probably the best-looking guy on this plane.
By the way, this is a fun game if you're listening at home. Count up the amount of times that dimples are made mention of in just even the excerpts that I've chosen. Then multiply it by 4 to get an idea of how many guys' dimples are discussed.
Oh, just guys' dimples?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Len Hard likes the dimples.
Okay.
He reached up to straighten the flat-topped cap on his short afro. Then Mr. Jones walked out and made his way toward the front of the plane.
As he stepped into the first-class cabin, he felt 10 pairs of eyes bore into him. Business people looked up from their power books to eye him curiously. Fashionistas, munching on freshly baked cookies, checked out his threads, and one shifty eye interloper in black gaped at him.
What, Mr. Jones thought, you people never saw a 6-foot-plus man in full African regalia in first class before?
Apparently not.
Okay, so already a little bit controversial. I love this beginning, by the way.
In the film or in the book?
I think it's
Both.
a great idea in the film, and I didn't have a lot of high expectations for the author of Chicks with Sticks, to be honest, but I think she handles this first scene quite well, actually.
The thing I always have with, these kind of books, you imagine you're going to this because you've seen the film and loved it, right? I mean, do they have a life of its own where people are trawling through Amazon and going, hey, Charlie's Angels, maybe I'll read that?
Well, it's funny. I mean, the Amazon reviews do give you a sense of, I guess the people that are most passionate about novelizations are the people that are most likely to leave a review.
Yeah.
And I think one of two things kind of happens. If we're looking at older books, you've got to remember that whole DVD cycle or video cycle wasn't as quick as it is now. So if someone, especially like a young person like myself as a kid, was really amped up about a film, your only option, if you wanted to keep reliving it, was to get the novelization. It was quite a while before the videos came out. And often they were really expensive to begin with.
Yeah.
Also, you'll find the novelizations often come out weeks before the actual film comes out. So there are a lot of people that read them before they see the film because they're really excited about this property and they want to know what happens.
Wow, okay, talk about spoilers then.
Yeah, I did that as a kid. I remember reading the Roger Rabbit novelization the night before I went and saw the film for the first time.
I would never even considered reading a novelization.
That's all I
so
had so many as a kid. Some of the ones we've done on the show, yeah. And I had things like Terminator 2. I mean, that was a special effects movie. It's completely visual. There is no story. There is no character in it at all.
Yeah.
What a ridiculous thing to read about.
Yeah.
But that's what I did, and I love those books.
Well, because that's what I was wondering about, the opening here is because, of course, if you watch the film, you know exactly
the surprise.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, well, why would you read this when you know the African man is not quite so dimply.
Different kind of dimples.
Yeah. Anyway.
But the other sort of person that you'll see on Amazon is the person that, and this is the one that always amuses me, cannot afford to see the film or buy the film.
Oh.
And you will hear that a lot. You really will. People saying,
strange.
I'm interested in this thing. I got this and this was my option basically until it comes out on TV. Or until I find it at a discount or whatever.
Yeah, right.
They're not going to pay to see it at the movies, but they'll spend, $5.99 or whatever it was this $5.99 US to buy the book and try out the story. I know. Yeah. So they're a weird hybrid bastard of a creation.
Yeah. Okay.
So our friend Mr. Jones, he sits next to the suspicious and sweaty Pascal, who turns out to have a lot of bombs strapped to him, very topical, and we are treated to our first bit of action as Jones.
He wrapped Pascal's neck in a headlock, squeezing with just enough pressure to render him as helpless as an infant, but leaving just enough passage for oxygen. How could he measure such a thing? That's what he'd been trained for. Then he and Pasquale tumbled backwards out of the plane, and the door immediately shut behind them.
The door. Sorry, that's my typing.
You're bad.
That's me.
The passengers wouldn't have felt more than a light, brief gust of air, Mr. Jones knew. He smiled as he plummeted towards the earth.
And I love that too. Just that idea of wham, straight out of the plane, and then you don't see him. So yeah, I was into this at the beginning. I'm thinking this is really strong. You know, they're plummeting down to earth. A skydiver intercepts them to dispose of the bomb. Now, I had no idea that a black man could be in first class, and I certainly had no idea that a skydiver could possibly be...
Pascal gaped at the skydiver.
You're a chick, he stuttered.
Alex Monday? Yeah, we'll go with that. Just winked at him. She knew what Pascal was seeing, your average stunning Asian beauty. Alex had high, honey-coloured cheekbones. Her eyes were the colour of black coffee.
Her face is making me so hungry right now.
Be the only one.
I know.
And from what she'd heard, just as seductive. She could also feel her long, shimmering blue-black locks fluttering out from beneath her helmet.
Now, you know, not only are women skydivers, they're not even standing on their own 2 feet.
Well, they're
plummeting down through the air with their 2 feet just flailing behind them. That's inventive. That's... if you're a man listening to this, and I can't imagine why anybody else would listen, watch out for these.
They're going to be coming. They're going to be falling from the sky.
Dropping out of the sky.
It's not raining men.
Hallelujah, not anymore.
Floating women.
That is exactly right. Look, so that's one accounted for, right? We've got Alex Monday, Lucy Liu. As they head for the water, who do we find in the sleek gold cigarette boat?
Alex could see Natalie Cook behind the wheel. Her plump, pink gloss lips broke into a wide, if slightly shy smile. Her light blonde hair, cut in the very latest in anti-shags, danced above her shoulders, and her blue eyes seemed even brighter next to the sun-dappled water.
Yeah, and I love reading these descriptions from a female novelizationist as opposed to a male. Like, she's still talking about their general attractiveness and selling them as these sort of really idolized, wonderful people. But she's not dwelling on their figures or their boobs. And male novelizationists always tell you what the boobs are like. And I'm thinking maybe then we'll see this interesting reversal here where it'll get to Bill Murray and she'll talk about his like rock hard ass and he's like inviting crotch bulge or something like that.
If he had a rock hard ass maybe, but it's more flab than anything, isn't it?
Oh,
Murray?
That is a sick burn on Mr. Murray, Leah, and you're not going to be the first.
Well, he's not there to be a pretty face. That's what the others are there for.
You're not going to be the first woman today to have a sick burn at Mr. Murray's appearance. Let me tell you, we're going to get there. I spoke too soon, though. That's 2 angels. Yeah. We're still missing one.
Heaven must be missing an angel. Yeah.
Love this. Love it. As they land on the boat, that's when Pascal lost it, straining against his cuffs. He spat at Mr. Jones and shrieked, "You crazy son of a..."
"You mean daughter?" retorted Mr. Jones with a laugh. Then he stepped out of his dashiki.
Beneath the billowing robe, he wore a tight black leather skydiving suit, and beneath that suit were some unmistakably female curves. Yeah. Mr. Jones had the voluptuous bod of any man's dreams. I don't know, what sign do you think's classier in a bedroom? Dangerous curves ahead or slippery when wet? Like, which street sign do you steal?
Yeah, I don't know.
And Men at Work?
Oh, yeah. You put some thought into this.
No, I didn't. That's the great thing.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm redecorating my room and been thinking about these things. Then Mr. Jones reached beneath his chin and pulled at a flap of skin. Pascal gasped in horror with a sickening tearing sound. Mr. Jones ripped off his own face. And who could this be?
There was Dylan Sanders, a button-nosed beauty shaking out a shoulder-length mane of auburn waves and tossing a fleshy latex mask onto the deck.
Our third angel, Drew Barrymore.
Yeah,
Now,
she's great.
Look, listeners, you might find this very hard to believe. We talked about why have a novelisation? The film's there. Why this? Well, what this gives you that the film year, that's the year of my birth. She's introspective and brutally independent. She had a brief stint at the police academy. I believe hanging out with the guy that did all the helicopter noises and all those sorts of things. I think she was his partner. She's been a bartender, a yoga instructor, a field guide, a rodeo entertainer. Seems like a polite way of saying clown, right? A knack for choosing jerks.
That's right, yep.
Unlucky with the men. And her motto is, don't let your past hold you back.
All right.
Angel number 2, Natalie Cook, Cameron Diaz, 1977.
I believe an even better year, in fact.
Oh.
More vintage there.
Younger than Drew Barrymore. Goofy, optimistic, starry-eyed.
Okay, so if this was my boss's file on me, I'd be pretty pissed off that that was a description. Goofy, starry-eyed. He's looking at a lawsuit.
That wasn't in your performance review this year?
Not this year.
Mother, look at this. I'd be pissed off about this. Mother, large animal vegetarian.
What does that even mean?
It means her mother's a cow.
Yeah.
Cook was the class nerd, complete with a Princess Leia honey bun hairdo, glasses, and a mouthful of braces. I don't know why that's in the file. And that's...
Well, you know, at some point it's important. Her smile is a key feature that sucks the men in.
That's what nerds look. Look, if nerds, seriously, when I was at school, had Princess Leia hair, glasses, and braces, I would have been all over that. I would have loved that. Can't dance. Ironic, because she likes dancing. And her theme song...
No, but she doesn't. Oh, no, she does like it. Yeah, that's right, but she's
Diaz.
terrible at it. Yeah.
And her theme song is Soul Man. And finally, Angel 3, Alex Monday, Lucy Liu. Is she older or younger than the others?
She's older.
1975. Sophisticated, a class act. Learned levitation with a Tibetan guru. That'd be great if she levitated in this film. She doesn't.
Yeah, no.
She actually fell. She already proved in the first scene.
They kind of have a beat where they scale the fence and they don't quite scale it. It's almost like they do levitate. So
yeah, but when you
maybe there was a bit.
First scene, your first appearance is plummeting through the air. Don't tell me you can levitate. You go in the wrong direction for a start. Fencer and horsewoman. That's a bit mean.
Yes.
It's a bit Sarah Jessica Parker right there.
Oh, yeah.
Sleeps,
talk about horse, yeah.
Sleeps standing up. Aerospace engineer for NASA, and her idol is Martha Stewart.
Well, of course it would be. Yes. It's a bit like, have you heard about all the controversy over the Oz newspaper's obituary for that Australian author? And the opening paragraph is plain and overweight or something.
It's like, and certainly or and definitely overweight, something like that.
And she was like, not only did she sell millions of books, but she was also like a neuroscientist, and she was in Harvard for 10 years running some lab and yeah.
But she wasn't great to look at. She was pretty fat.
She was
but
fat and
she
ugly.
still managed to attract lots of men, and that's the main thing.
Crazy to think, yeah. But look, I think that's one of my favourite bits in the whole film. And the first time I saw it, I just loved it. I love that montage with the different music where you get all those little snippets. And that's why I think that little bit is actually perfect when you're trying to show how through costuming and so on, you really capture a character. Because it was all very quickly, scene after scene after scene, where you're capturing all those different things. Where, with the class act, she's so serious and prim and proper, and Drew Barrymore's character Dylan is punching the police officer. So you get all that stuff from the file. Yeah.
Design and very carefully chosen moments are so wonderful at creating that character shorthand. I think like Wes Anderson, for example, does that very well. Courtney and I were just talking about Orphan Black, which you put me onto.
Oh, yeah.
And you look at Felix.
So he's the only one I don't like, actually.
What I like about him is that when you come into a scene with him, he's painting with his bum out, or he's doing something. He has this life which is his own, and he's got his own agenda, and he's doing his own things. That's not just about this clone story. As soon as one of the clones comes in, they make it about the clone story. But just having that couple of seconds of seeing what this person is doing when they're not involved in that other thing,
Okay, yeah.
for me, just fleshes out that character, and you go, okay, this is interesting. Because a lot of characters, and that's a criticism I have, especially when I'm doing the ScarJo A Go-Go podcast, things like that, is they don't have any inner life beyond what the plot wants them to do. There's nothing else to them. Here's a mind-blowing reminder of 2000. This will take us back. Drew Barrymore wakes up after a big night in the faux wood-panelled, shag-carpeted houseboat with the frayed curtains, leopard print sheets, and that funky eau de bachelor scent, a melange of sweat socks, grilled cheese sandwiches, and cheap hair gel. And this boat belongs to an ex called Chad, or the Chad. Yeah. And he's described as being really quite gross in this. Like, his weak chin was practically wobbling with disappointment. So I'm going, I've got to look, I don't remember, I've got to look this up and see who played him. And I'm like, Tom Green.
Yeah, you didn't remember?
No, and I was thinking, I did once, I heard it, but I had this moment where I was thinking, how would you land at Tom Green? Like, why would anybody cast Tom Green for anything? And why would they make us believe that he would be in a relationship with Drew Barrymore? And then I was like, shit!
That's right.
They were in a relationship. Did they even
were they married?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I know. I think everyone was scratching their heads, but a bit like Dylan, I think Miss Barrymore also makes some pretty questionable choices in men throughout her life. Like,
Art imitates life. Charlie's Angels was the Birdman of the year 2000.
Okay,
Very
we'll
meta.
go with that.
As this continues, there's something about this film, and this isn't a criticism, I actually love it. It makes me feel like I'm flipping through a catalogue for Barbie dolls.
Oh, yes.
You know, like in Alex Monday's next scene, she's designed the hyperjet thruster engine for the space shuttle, and now is burning all her muffins, and her partner is a movie actor sweetie Jason Gibbons. He had a multi-film contract and the deepest dimples known to womankind. He also had a funky vintage Airstream trailer with a stocked minibar and a full kitchen. And then she's got the silver Mercedes convertible, and it's this continued piling on of abilities and skills and toys, and, you know, look at all these perfect traits, look at all this perfect stuff. It's all like total wish fulfillment.
Oh, it's massively that. And I think it felt almost very cartoony, not cartoony, like comic-y also, like a comic in its style, I found, where it was, you know, almost like, what do you call each square?
Panel.
Yeah, thank you. So, you know, you have a panel, bang, this is happening, this panel, then you move on to the next panel. And I always thought with the second film, it became even worse. The second film basically just felt like a video clip after a video clip after a video clip, and where, you know, you have hyper life and hyper stylized everything as you do in video clips. And that's what both films kind of felt like, this complete escapism. And what you would wish for, what you would want for, and each of the girls then represents some aspect that you might want.
Yeah, and I feel like there was something really personal threaded through there as well, that it wasn't just always what they think the audience would want, but what these actresses wanted. Like, Drew Barrymore's a producer, at least, isn't she, in this thing? Yeah. And that idea that you sign up to it and you go, I want to do a big dance in this thing, or I want to be seen doing this, and they're getting to really have, like, it's like their big Make-A-Wish Foundation movie for themselves as well. They look like they're having a blast. Yeah. And, which apparently, you know, the set was pretty nasty at times.
Oh, really? I never heard that.
Bill Murray hated Lucy Liu. They had a physical fight. And
really?
Mick G, who was the director, also claimed that Bill Murray headbutted him, and Bill Murray responded by saying it was complete bullshit and that Mick G needs to die.
Well, that's kind of known, isn't it, that Bill Murray can be a bit of a jerk.
Apparently he said something like, he said to Drew, they were all around on the set, and he goes to Drew Barrymore, I know why you're here. And he says to Cameron Diaz, and I know why you're here, you can act, you've got talent. Yeah. And he says something to Lisa like, I've got no idea what you're doing here. And apparently she, like, ran at him. Yeah.
Ouch.
Interesting.
Well, another just very quickly side thing is... I don't know if you followed Lucy Liu's career. I wouldn't say I followed her career, but, you know, I knew she was in Ally McBeal, and I'd seen a little bit in Ally McBeal, and obviously in these films and a few other things. And even now, where she's in that Sherlock show, Is
Elementary.
it even called? Oh, there
Yeah.
you go, Elementary. What was interesting is she always plays sophisticated, intelligent women, which is probably the American stereotype or Australian stereotype too of all Asians are super smart. But I remember seeing interviews with her with the other two angels, as themselves, as actors, and thinking, wow, she's actually really dumb.
Yeah.
And thinking that it's not how I perceive you at all. Like the others were quick, they were witty, they rolled with the punches, where she just sat there and smiled and could not make any kind of conversation. I was really surprised.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So maybe that's what Bill Murray found as well.
Yeah, I don't think Bill Murray suffers fools. And he's probably overtly a prick where he doesn't need to be, but I'd say that is what was happening. And by the way, her partner here, who is Joey from Friends, thinks that she's actually a bikini waxer, even though she then gets a mysterious phone call and has to race off to an emergency. And I'm like, what, is somebody tangled up in a giant bush or something? What's going on that he thinks this is
You don't
right?
understand women, do you,
No,
Luke?
I don't. I've seen pictures.
There's emergencies.
I'm
This
confused.
little section here, when you were reading it out, also reminded me of, I'm sure everyone's seen it, the Golden Globes, where Tina Fey and Amy Poehler go, George Clooney's wife has done this and this and this and this, but her husband is getting the Lifetime Achievement Award. That's what it kind of feels like here.
And this actor, Jason, is the second male in 22 pages to use the word chick. Was everybody saying chick in 2000?
Yeah, everyone.
Do you think?
Even Clinton. He definitely was saying chick.
I hate that
never
with
had
authors.
sex with that chick.
I hate that when authors they've obviously got this set of words that they use, and they just keep ascribing them to all these different characters. And I think that's such a word that's specific to you, the author. It's not how everybody talks.
Well, why do you think it's specific to her? I mean, she only wrote chicks with sticks.
Oh my God. See, I didn't even put that together. She's obsessed with chicks and sticks. I wouldn't be surprised if sticks start showing up all over this thing. Knitting. All right, so they get the... so Natalie, meanwhile, is at the Disco Inferno Club, giving her homages to Saturday Night Fever and Flashdance. She's referred to as Babelicious. That's certainly a word I used a lot in 2000.
Yep.
But it turns out it was all a dream. She gets up and gives us the one of two sequences that I really remember.
Still shimmying to the Disco Inferno in her head, Natalie swiveled her hips in her Spider-Man underoos and began making her bed.
It is an iconic sequence.
Oh, yeah, it's
really
awesome.
iconic shot.
Yeah.
She also is described as having a troll doll collection, so she is totally fine by me. Whenever I see a troll doll in a film, face just lights up. Guardians of the Galaxy, he's got a troll doll in his spaceship. I'm
yes.
that is the best thing.
Yeah.
And she's importing anime on VHS.
God, she's the perfect
I love
woman.
this character. So she
But
also...
everyone was using VHS then, weren't they? Oh, maybe not 2000.
2000.
Oh, I
No,
get
I was
so
starting to get into the
confused.
DVD
Yeah.
thing then. And she gets... But the last VHS I bought was The Phantom Menace, 1999.
Oh, okay.
She also gets the call, let's go and see Charlie. So a lot of description of clothes, pretty champagne-coloured chemise, furniture, modern cream-coloured couches. We talk about drinks, California cappuccino. This is really different from what I normally read. I find these sort of descriptions aren't often in the male books.
Look, it's pretty different to what I normally read too. If I just go that far.
Everything we've ever done on this show is very
I
different.
want to know what a California cappuccino is.
It changes twice in this book. The first time it's it's a cocktail, but then the second time it's something else. It's basically them drinking something that they shouldn't be and going, it's a California cappuccino.
I see.
Charlie, of course, is not seen. He communicates through a little box. We do get to meet Charlie's henchman, Bosley, though. I'm thinking, how sexy is Bosley? How are his dimples? You had some nasty things to say about him before.
All right, Bosley, a man with a mysterious past and even more mysterious present, was a portrait of aging Hollywood in all its glory. He was dressed impeccably in black pants, black mock turtleneck and a snazzy sports coat. But there was no disguising his tired old bod. He had the pallor and grey eye bags of a man who'd spent many an hour in LA traffic. He had a slight paunch. He had fuzzy, thinning grey hair that had an uncommon way of never staying put put.
Damn, Elizabeth Lenhart.
Yes!
She went to town on Bill Murray there,
And
didn't she?
you know what? So she should, because that is how he looks.
Oh, no.
Oh, come on. I know that these Hollywood 50, 60-year-old actors,
No.
I think they still look... Bill Murray never looked the bomb. He was always ugly. But that hair description is perfect, I think.
I think, as Samuel L. Jackson said in Pulp Fiction, that personality goes a long way.
Well, true.
He might
but
look
would
like
you eat him?
He might look like the face of the moon, but
But see, the Hollywood does this all the time, which is why that stupid Australian actor got into so much trouble. What's his name? You know, the really fat, ugly gladiator guy. Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, yeah.
Oh, God. Where, you know, these old, slightly fat, paunchy, whatever, then get surrounded by these young, gorgeous 20-something-year-olds, which is what these girls would have been. Yeah. Chicks would have been at the time.
But Bosley is a definitely like a comic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Character. They've all got their young hottie guy that they're interested in. We've got Luke Wilson.
Yeah.
And Joey from Friends. I can't remember his name each time. Matt
LeBlanc.
LeBlanc.
Yeah.
I just completely LeBlanced.
Yeah.
Look, we skip over the fact that they talk about muffins for 3 pages, and let's talk about the mission. So the tech whiz Alex Knox, which is Sam Rockwell, has been kidnapped, and the suspect is rival Roger Corman of Red Star Systems, which is Tim Curry. Mm-hmm. Great cast.
Yeah, I forgot it was Rockwell.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell and Tim Curry, like together at last. And
Rockwell's
Bill Murray.
Disappeared for a while
the last
now.
thing I saw him in?
His star was just
going
through the roof, and
he's done some pretty great smaller films.
Well, the last thing I kind of remember is Moon.
He's in Gentleman Broncos, which I loved, but not everyone loves that.
Yeah.
He's in Iron Man 2. Every Monday, Tim Curry gets a massage at Madame Wong's House of Massage, so guess where our girls are going?
Alex planted a submissive smile on her lips and turned towards Cohen, feeling her silky kimono grazing her thighs. She tried to move her head as little as possible, so as not to unbalance a heavy, itchy geisha girl week.
And don't worry though, before it gets too sexy, she knocks him unconscious. Alex bent down and peered into Corwin's face. He was out like last year's hip huggers.
Hip huggers!
I don't even know what a hip hugger is.
No, it must be a knitting thing.
I know what a face hugger is.
Maybe it's an American thing.
And what's the best way to celebrate hacking Corwin's Palm Pilot? The American way, of course. I was glad to see this came back after a bit of a break.
Dylan grinned at her tech genius co-angel and said, 3 double doubles, 3 fries, 3 cokes.
Yay!
The burger is in the house.
Burger time. The burgers are back.
I wanted those burgers too. I was like, yeah, angels, let's go get burgers.
Yeah, how often do you think these angels in that shape that they're in can have burgers?
Well, Drew Barrymore, I reckon, had a burger a week. The other two never touch them.
I love. Who's your favourite angel?
Oh, look, I actually could not choose, but perhaps controversially, I would put Natalie, what's her name? Diaz last.
Yeah.
And then it would be a tie between Dylan and Alex.
I've always had a soft spot for Drew Barrymore. Yeah. I really like her.
Yeah,
and she's
me too.
A cutie.
And she's funny in the show as well, and you feel she's a little bit real. And Lucy Liu's character, Alex, is just so over the top.
Yeah.
I think she's brilliant in every scene. Like, I just love her in every scene that she plays because, like we said before, it's not even really a whole film. It's just these kind of little segments of each one doing something crazy or great.
And I think this is the final character that we really need to keep track of here. They find a picture of the Thin Man, and I think this is a great description.
Everything about the kidnapper was long and skinny. He had a pointy nose, beady eyes, wispy, slick black hair, and a grim, lipless mouth. He was pale to the point of disappearing, and his eyes were icy blue. He was as sinister as all get out.
And this, of course, is the eccentric, crazy-ass Crispin Glover, who decided that he didn't want to use any of the dialogue in the script and invented all his own things like sniffing hair and just everything to make it as creepy as possible.
Yeah, the sniffing hair was probably the one thing that I really disliked about the film. Everything else I loved.
He's a crazy guy.
Yeah.
So with Bosley, the Angels infiltrate a party at Corwin's pad. But don't tell me about the party. Tell me about the eyes and the dimples. Natalie glanced up. Whoa. Hottie alert at 2 o'clock. I've got one of those programmed into my phone for 2 o'clock today, actually.
A hottie alert?
A hottie alert, yeah. Brown-haired bartender with brown eyes you could drown in. Dimples up the yin-yang.
Up the yin-yang?
Great place to have dimples. And a name tag that read Pete. And I also liked the phrase, whoa, holy biceps. Yeah.
Up the yin-yang, that's not something you hear every day. I like the little subtle way she slipped in his name too.
Pete.
You really, I can picture this, what's her name again?
Elizabeth Lenhard.
Lenhard, sitting there with her yellow pad, a pencil, and literally writing down everything she sees. So like camera shows name tag reads Pete. Because it really is, isn't it?
But that's the beauty of the novelization though, is it comes out before the film's finished. So you don't even get to watch the film. She'll be working...
Oh, yeah, they're just going off a script.
You're going off a script and photos,
That's
usually.
right.
Yeah,
Oh,
so...
are you sure?
I guess there's probably maybe some cases with... But they're not treated like, hey, we're going to send you all these dailies and we're going to keep you in the loop.
Yeah.
It's like, here's your 10 grand, we want it in a month.
Yeah, no, look, I really thought she was watching the film. It felt like everything in the film was captured. Wow, she's a good reader.
That's the magic of Elizabeth Lenhard,
I'm reading Pearls with Girls or whatever that's called. Chicks with Sticks.
So, yes, two great actors, Bill Murray, Tim Curry, together at last.
Which meant, of course, that Bosley and his adversary had been transformed into sumo wrestlers. Enormous, unwielding fat suits, complete with G-strings, black wigs and cellulite. Oh, the indignity did the trick. Now they were stomping around in the circle and slamming into each other like grunting walruses.
Maybe this is why Murray said that McG deserved to die. He elaborated. He said something like he needs to be run through with a lance.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
But he knew what he was signing up for.
Bill Murray apparently doesn't always know what he's signing up for.
Oh,
remember that whole Garfield thing where he thought it was being made by the Coen brothers?
Did he, though? Was that just his way to explain that he wanted some quick cash?
How do you like a bit of fashion with your action? Because I decided I love it.
Great.
By the time the Angels emerged from the building, they had done a total Cosmo girl, transforming from evening togs to workout wear in a flash. That's the other... Dimples come up a lot. Togs come up a lot. She uses togs all the time. In Australia, that's your swimmers, your bathers.
Well, only in New South Wales
Is
or
that right?
Queensland. Well, we don't use that
What do we
term.
say here? I don't go to the beach. Bathers.
Yeah. Well, what does it mean there? From
Where?
evening togs.
I know she just uses it as clothes, just like all the time. Again, it's like a really specific, weird word to keep using in every situation. Again, the action's not bad at all. There's a pretty cool fight with the Thin Man in an alley. I like this.
I'll start again. In a stream of motion as beautiful as any ballet, Natalie bent forward and Dylan rolled across her back, kicking. Then Natalie launched herself into a flying kick, balancing her legs in the air. At the last moment, she knocked the Thin Man down. He was down but not out. He recovered quickly, then scrabbled crab-like backwards on his hands and feet.
I like that kind of almost supernatural element about the Thin Man. I think he's a great henchman. Kind of like a Bond henchman.
Yeah,
Gimmicky.
I never liked him. I love this scene, though. I really, really love this scene. And I love the juxtaposition of that with, the Prodigy's Smack My Bitch Up. That comes in slamming in when this scene starts. And you really feel... the energy of that. It's like, yeah, you go smash them, girls.
When I read the book, I listened to the soundtrack on Spotify.
It's a good soundtrack.
Yeah, it was cool.
It's a fun soundtrack.
And Barracuda. So many great things. So they find Alex Knox, which was Sam Rockwell, and they bring him back to the agency. But as Beyonce might say. Is that Beyonce? I'm sorry, I don't know anything.
That's Beyonce.
Cool. Dylan thought. That's a nice smile. She felt a familiar frisson in her belly. Attraction. Is the belly where that happens?
Man, Dylan, she's only got her mind on one thing.
I know.
What's wrong with her? In fact, they all do.
They do.
Because Natalie was looking at the guy,
the bartender.
Pete's, brown eyes.
In his yin-yang. And the MacGuffin the bad guys are after is voice ID technology. And I'm starting to put this together and I'm thinking, but Charlie is a voice.
You could not put this together. You did not put this together.
Look, I knew that Bruce Willis was a ghost. I knew that Charlie was a voice and that this technology was bad news.
Oh.
Sure enough, Dylan takes Knox back to his big house on the hill and...
In an instant, his lips were on hers. The kiss was so soft that at first it felt like a daydream. Then Knox pressed harder. Dylan's lips were tingling. She melted into the kiss, leaning back against the island. The chopping board and various veggies tumbled to the floor, but Dylan barely noticed.
The veggies are on the floor. It is all on.
That's Natalie's mum, the mother vegetable. On a vegetarian. That was so confusing.
It was very confusing. Next, the angels wear skin-tight jumpsuits.
They do.
Dragway. I love.
Shit, this scene is awesome.
I love Bill Murray, Drew Barrymore in this scene. And it's in the photo section. There's the picture. It's just a tiny picture, but I remember that so vividly. She's got the Farrah Fawcett wig. And the cleavage, and she and look, Lucy Liu, she's being a bit conservative with the cleavage. Drew Barrymore doesn't give a damn. She looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then the photo section, speaking of which, goes on to spoil the entire rest of the movie, plot by plot point, including revealing that Knox is the villain. Because
you wouldn't know that.
Thanks for that. But all is forgiven, though, because the last photo is all three of them. They're grinning, and it says, angels forever.
No, only for just one more movie.
Yeah. But they'll always be angels to me, in my heart.
It was a good photo section. I found there was quite a lot of photos, maybe too many photos.
No, not enough. I want to see all the different costumes. Yeah.
You want to see more dimples? In fact, I cannot see a single dimple on
They're hard to see if they're in the yin-yang.
That's right. They've disappeared up the yin yangs
if they're
somewhere.
Up the yin yang, especially if they're in the black section.
No one can find them.
In the black dot, very difficult to see. All right, then car chase, and now the angels are pretending to be belly dancers in a Middle Eastern restaurant called Zazu Zazu. And at least the characters are somewhat self-aware here.
Natalie wore a red spangled bra and shimmering mesh skirt. Too many sounds. She sashayed over to Lanza and gave a jingly shake. Yuck, she thought. Does he have to pant? She danced over to Alex, who wore a gold sequined halter and a long blonde wig. Remind me why we're doing this, Natalie begged.
Yeah, want to remind us why we're doing this too. Like, this is the point, like you said.
Go for the ride.
It's montage. Yeah.
Oh.
So why then do people like this movie, which is like a series of film clips about a group of like strong, fun girls dressing up and kicking ass, but why do they not like Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch, which is pretty much a more updated version of the same thing?
Because I think Charlie's Angels was just sold as candy.
Yeah.
It was just come and have some fun. It was nothing serious. It was an update of, an old-time classic or a 70s classic. Whereas Sucker Punch was it was serious, it was dark.
It's a bit of it's a mess. Like, I'm not saying it's not a mess, but, like, visually it's wow.
Yeah, but it's a different kind of visual. This is candy.
True.
This is candy for your eyes.
True. And the fancy dress parade continues. You want to make an impression, you show up in braids, embroidered blouses, red knee socks, a whole Swiss Miss Coco kind of ensemble. Behind them, Bosley in a pair of lederhosen was puffing on a tuba.
Another great scene.
And another great scene is when Drew and Cameron, they dress like men and pretend to piss at a urinal with Tim Curry. Got to be a highlight in his career.
Don't remember that, but there you go.
Yeah, they just have awkward small talk. I think they've got fake moustaches. It's when they're infiltrating the lab.
Well, that must have fake something else too.
Yeah, I don't know. There's the little cup thing with I've seen it on the internet.
I think every movie should be like this, where it's like, bam, now we're here, now we're here, now we're here, now we're here.
This stuff.
Yeah.
They infiltrated Red Star to get the data.
Yeah.
What did a laptop in 2000 hold? Because
by that afternoon, a huge chunk of Red Star's data had been downloaded onto Bosley's laptop.
I think it really would have literally taken a whole afternoon to download anything in 2000.
Yeah.
And then Bosley is at home, he's cooking in his smoking jacket. Not smoking in his cooking jacket. That's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
And Knox's associate, Vivian Wood, who's a bit of a femme fatale, turns up in a skin-tight jumpsuit, although author Lenhard continues to refer to every item of clothing as togs throughout this. And she also takes another opportunity to slam Bill Murray's looks.
That's brilliant. That was the sound of Bosley being kissed by Vivian Wood. In fact, she was smooching the living daylights out of him, clutching his jowly face with her long, sharp nails and pressing her leather-clad body against his.
I thought I was reading a book about Beethoven for a second.
I bet she was probably on set and Murray was like, "What are you doing here? I know why you're here, why are you here?" She's like, "I'll tell you why I'm here."
Jowl face. Then oh snap, the Thin Man kills Tim Curry. So who is really behind all this? If only the photo section hadn't told us pages ago. Alex is in her boyfriend's trailer when it all gets shot up, but manages to survive.
Yep.
Can't talk today. With gymnastics or some shit. That was a trope back then. Jurassic Park 2, the daughter survived dinosaurs through gymnastics. And then Lenhard says togs again. And then Natalie, Cameron Diaz, dances on the stage of Soul Train.
She didn't just groove, swing her hips, roll her head, shimmy her shoulders. No, Natalie incorporated every element of her fantasies into one dance. She was kickboxing, swimming and shaking her hips and rollerblading. She was postmodern goddess. It was Natalie's world. The rest of Soul Train's hipsters just lived there.
What I like about that passage is I think the line incorporated every element of her fantasies into one dance is really an apt description of this entire film. I mean, that's what it is. It's taking all these wonderful fantasies and going, we're going to just shove them all into this big explosive movie. And
that's why it was so fun, whereas Sucker Punch instead actually focuses on your nightmares and your unconscious.
Yeah.
So that's why this one had the bigger appeal.
You're right. And then Vivian Wood's goons try to kill
hired goons
Cameron Diaz. And this is a pattern in the film. We basically see 3 scenes in rapid succession, each one focused on a single angel, where the same basic thing happens to each of them, but in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
It's like a joke setup. You know, you see the same thing 3 times, except there's no punchline. And finally, we go to Dylan, who has just banged Sam Rockwell when Vivian turns up and reveals it was all a setup and they're trying to get at Charlie. So they shoot at Dylan, who takes her famous naked roll down the mountain, although she is described as wearing underwear in this book.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Oh, of course she was, yes. That's right. I
remember that from when you read it.
That's it. She stalked over to a nearby bungalow. She could see the blue glow of her television through the sliding doors of a basement rec room. When she peered inside, she almost groaned. Sitting in front of the TV were 2 boys, 2 little boys about 8 years old. They were playing Virtual Fighter on PlayStation 2. Dylan looked down at her bod. Not only was she scarred and bruised, her undies were in tatters. On top of everything else, she muttered, "I have to corrupt the youth of America to get out of this fix."
America, where young kids can play violent video games but be corrupted by the sight of a naked woman.
That's right.
Yeah. And by the way, Elizabeth Lenhard may know a lot about knitting, but she knows nothing about video games. One of the kids is described as jamming his phaser button.
Oh.
Don't remember the PlayStation 2 controllers having a phaser button to jam. But we'll take a word for it.
Well, I'm sure she was expecting more knitters to read this book than
gamers.
Gamers, yeah. I think you might be the only one, the only kid who was reading the novelizations and gaming at the same time.
All right. As always, thankfully, the third act of an action movie is worth skipping over. Agency blows up. The bad guys have Bosley captive. The angels head off for the final confrontation. I thought instead maybe we could talk a little bit about the status updates. Each change of scene starts with the date, time, location, and status. Here are some of my favourites. Contemplating colour schemes.
In Like Flynn.
A day after the first kiss blush.
Belle of the Ball.
And going down at lightning speed.
Captures it perfectly.
More action versus fashion. Natalie and Alex were busy priming for battle. They were putting on custom-made black jumpsuits of a wicking poly blend with flared ankles and plunging necklines. What? A girl can't look cool when she's kicking butt? Is the question that I didn't provide. That was Lenhard. I want to say this. There's a lot of times when people, especially guys, go, she's a strong female character, whether it's Lara Croft or whatever, and you go, why is she? And they go, because she kicks butt. Like, is that enough?
The only thing that Are you saying, why is it always kicking butt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's an American thing. It's like, but it is literally because they physically hurt people who disagree with them. Yeah. Weird. 2, I wondered if this book set out to write specifically for women and kind of alienate men throughout its constant... Like, I feel like this is said this is a movie with women in it. We're giving it to a female novelizationist, and she's going to write some of this like it's Sex in the City. You know, she's going to talk about the dimples and being lost in brown eyes and the shoes and the couches and all this sort of stuff. And I wondered if it was the same way that some of the gross books I've read, like Terminator, really specifically set out to alienate women. And I'm not saying because they're about car chases and about guns. I'm saying because every minor male character sexually objectifies the women that are in the scenes. And, you know, you have the guy in the truck looking at the waitress and talking about her boobs and what he wants to do with her and all these things that I can't imagine a woman being like, why is this a thing all the time? And that was weird to me because when I watched this film, I didn't think I was going to see a film for women or anything like that. It was just the next big sort of blockbuster action film. Like, it wasn't...
I don't know. I would have thought that in their advertising and in their ideal target audience, they probably thought more women than males would go see it, especially young women, I would imagine. But I don't see all those descriptions, I think, again, just come straight from the film or the script.
Yeah.
I don't think she's doing anything different because the film just focuses so much on how they look and what they're wearing, and every single scene, you know, there's so many slow-mos of waving hair and hair released from helmets, hair released from whatever, which I just think it's, if anything, it's more your usual Hollywood, you know, a woman can be active or can be strong, but still needs to be beautiful and look good and be dressed to the nines. And I think all she's doing is capturing what the film showed us.
Yeah, it just felt different to me from a lot of the other things that I've read. And, but yeah, I think you're right. I just wonder, I don't know, like I do think it would be different if it was written by a man. And I do think something like Terminator would have been different if it was written by a woman. I just think there were certain things there that would have... And I don't think... I find it weird that even is a factor for me reading it. Like, it should be just, here is this movie. Like, here is this, like, big action movie and that sort of stuff. I think you're right. It certainly suits the... And there's another thing. Like, when you read it out loud together...
Yeah.
I'm finding more fun in it than I did when I read it myself.
You didn't enjoy it? Are you crazy?
I know.
Maybe you should read Chicks with Sticks.
That'll change everything. Now, that is a manly book, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, look, action, lots of fighting. Leonard keeps referring to Vivian as a witch. I hate that. You see that, like, Americans do that a lot. Oh, you witch. It's just, like, if you're going to say bitch, say bitch. Like, witch makes no sense. Action, karate, helicopters, and Knox is finally killed by a missile. The missile connects with the chopper in a massive fireball, while the angels floated through the air, descending towards the cool blue Pacific. As they fell, they could feel the heat of the explosion rushing over their heads. So this is the ending. We got there.
Dylan gazed across the beach. She was drawn as if by a magnet to the tan, silvered-haired man standing about 100 feet away.
Their eyes locked.
Dylan felt a peace wash over her. She'd never seen this slim stranger, yet there was something utterly familiar about him.
She glanced away quickly and shook her head. Was that who she thought it was? When she gazed down the beach again, the man, Charlie, had disappeared.
Dylan felt no regret, no typical emptiness. She smiled warily at the dormant cell phone on the beach towel. Then she winked at Alex and Natalie and raised her smoothie glass.
To Charlie, she called.
To Charlie, echoed Alex, Natalie and Bosley.
Clink, their glasses met, they sipped, then they laughed uproariously as Bosley fumbled and sprayed his blue daiquiri? Daiquiri, of course. Fuck me. I'm the silly
That's
bugger.
alright, I completely screwed something earlier.
Still laughing, they chased him into the surf. Why not laugh? They were alive, they were unhurt, and they were still, would always be, angels. There we go. Aww. Bosley, you clumsy.
Why wouldn't they laugh?
Fool. Spilling the drink. Alright, here's a couple, just two brief Amazon reviews. Actually, before I do that, I've got to ask you, god damn, was the book better?
Oh, look, it came close, but you can't beat the film.
Those
It's
three
just
ladies,
candy for the
those
eyes.
visuals, those
It's
costumes, just the
soundtrack.
pit crew,
I think the soundtrack also really adds to it. It's just so much fun.
Tim Curry, Crispin Glover,
Yeah.
movie all the way.
Rockwell.
Amazon reviews. Good morning, angels. Good morning, Charlie. If you like a book that knocks you off your feet after you read each word, then you'll have an outrageous time reading Charlie's Angels by Elizabeth Lenhart. Three girls, Dylan, Alex, and Natalie, make up the angels and are off to solve the case of Eric Knox. From a penthouse party to a dangerous freeway chase, these angels are ready and prepared to kick some agents behind. To find out more about what happens to the angels, you'll have to get your hands on the book. Believe me, from my opinion, this book gives me a whole new idea on how I perceive action. If you've seen the movie, it's along the same lines and would give away the ending, but it still gives off more action than in the movie, so it makes it a must-read book.
What? Did Lenhard write this review?
That's what
It's
I mean.
on the same lines as the film. It is the film.
Yeah, well, this is answering your question about who reads novelizations.
Yeah.
There are people that love this shit. So often, like, we'll read a novelization and think, oh, God, that was really ordinary.
That you? Did you?
No, I didn't write this.
No.
And then people go, oh, this was the best book I've ever read and stuff. And you just go, you don't read books. Like, you need to read more books.
Yeah. You are on Amazon. You realise that you've trolled through a lot of other stuff to get to this.
A million books here. And this one, I really thought this book was the best. The author sorta takes the movie and kid-friendlies it. It's not as PG-13 as the movie, but it has that naughty girl flavor. I like the book because I wasn't really expecting it. The author added and subtracted parts to the plot. My only question is, do I hear a book two?
Oh, there's a fan.
Do I hear a book two coming down the stairs there, Amazon?
Is there a book too?
I like the naughty girl flavor.
Flavor.
I thought that was pretty great.
Yeah.
And I like the book because I wasn't really expecting it.
What were they not expecting?
A book?
A book, of course,
Yeah.
yeah. I wasn't expecting a book. I like it.
Yeah, do you like movies? This is going to blow your mind. Look at
There's
this.
a book.
It looks like, you know,
wasn't
the person
expecting
picked up the
that.
book, they were ramming it into their VHS player, and someone said,
Yeah.
no, look at this. Opened it up, and they were like, fuck. I was not expecting that.
I like it.
This is the same thing, but
Yeah.
a book. Crazy. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please rate, review the show on iTunes. Please listen to the other podcasts as well. They're all back. FPcast and Scarjo A Go-Go. Scarjo A Go-Go this week is Black Dahlia, which I haven't yet seen, and I'm curious to see it. And next week on The Book Was Better, we are doing the further adventures of Steve Terminator. Terminator Salvation guest host is Lizzie Unpronounceable, and coincidentally, Terminator Salvation is also directed by the funnily named Mick G, and also stars hero of FPcast, official mascot of FPcast, Sam Bloody Worthington, best bloody actor
Of course he was.
in
yeah.
Australia.
Yeah, he
best
was.
bloody actor.
Russell Crowe will beat you up.
No, mate, look. Sam Wortho is in Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, which is the best bloody movie in the world.
All time.
And I know that because it made the most bloody money. So if he's in that movie and he's the star, that makes him the best bloody actor in the world,
Yeah.
by my estimation. So yes, check that out. Just go to fruitlesspursuits.com. You'll find info on all of the podcasts there and links to our discussion pages, etc. Thank you so much, Leah. Charlie's Angels, how exciting.
Thank you, Luke. Thank
That
you
was a
very
really
much.
great journey. It's great to do a book with somebody that actually is a fan of the source material.
Yeah,
It's,
I can say I am.
Yeah, and I am too. I love those angels. Good on you. Girls, do I hear
Yeah.
a book two?
Woo,
Full
woo.
throttle? All right.
Not expecting it.
Not expecting this week ending for the podcast, but there we go. That's what you get. It's a gamble. Do you remember the thing? This is
Yeah.
your fourth. This is your
Okay.
fourth time. Can you
Yeah,
believe
there should
that?
have been a celebration.
I know. You guys were great. I've got to say it to the listeners. I dread scheduling this show. Like, sometimes it's an effort to schedule two, and then you think, that's only 2 weeks. Then I've got to schedule a third, and I feel like I'm harassing everybody. I put up 12 slots, and you guys all filled it up, and it's amazing. That's 12 weeks of Book Was Better guaranteed, and then
there you
it'll
go.
all start again.
Easy.
So it's so good. And that means, love to have you back, but you don't have to even think about it for another 3 months. It's so great.
It's when I won't expect it.
You won't expect a book.
Be like,
and suddenly, what is this?
didn't expect it.
So yeah, thank you.
Excellent.
Do you want to say the thing?
All right, I'll see you on the...
Georgie.